Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Little for PokerNews.com, and here we are pretty deep into day 3 of the World Poker Tour event at Borgata that took place recently. And I have pocket jacks with 28 big blinds. Not a whole lot has been going well for me. I lost, I believe, 4 out of 5 all-ins on day 3. So when that happens, well, you're probably not going to last all that much longer, but that's a-okay. Here I have the pocket jacks. I open it up, which is fine and normal. And then the small blind, a loose aggressive player who was pretty far out of line. Not a typical kind of loose, kind of aggressive player. This guy was actually very loose, very aggressive. And maybe even a little bit annoyed / tilty. He decides to call small blind. Big blind folds, flop comes 7-6-3. Opponent checks. And now I think this is a pretty nice spot to bet a lot of the time. Given my 26 big blind stack, I think I want to bet a size that allows my opponent to jam all in. Normally, I think a bet of about 25,000 in this scenario would be quite nice. But notice if I bet 25,000 out of my 390,000 stack, the opponent can't really jam all in. I want to make it easy for them to jam all in with whatever they have. They probably realize I don't have a whole lot that connects with 7-6-3 besides, of course, the overpairs that are never folding. And so some loose, aggressive, tilty, splashy players may elect to just rip it in on me. So normally, I'd be betting about 25,000 here because if you think about it, 7-6-3 really should not connect very well with the small blind calling range, which should be a lot of medium and big cards. So that's a good reason to bet small. But in this exact scenario, I definitely like a bigger bet of about 50,000. Opponent does call. Didn't shove, but whatever. If he calls 50K, that's fine with me. On the turn, the opponent checks on a 10. So now, how do we feel about a 10? Well, if the opponent does have 9-8, clearly I want to lose the least amount possible, right? I don't think we're going to be against 9-8 all that often, but it is a consideration. It is a concern, right? We could be against a hand like 10-9, 10-8, maybe a hand like ace-10, right? All of these hands would certainly call a bet and put their money in. But if the opponent does have a hand like an underpair or ace high, he's probably going to be pretty inclined to just fold to an additional bet. I do realize an underpair, like pocket fives here, has a gut shot, but even then, facing another bet, you should probably ditch it. If the opponent's too loose and too aggressive and too splashy, maybe you won't. But anyway, this is a scenario where I can either check or bet kind of on the big side, right? And this is one of these spots where if you think about the opponent's range, it should contain a lot of hands that have some outs. And against the range that contains some outs, you usually want to be betting on the bigger side. If I bet 200K here, though, it's pretty obvious I'm not folding, right? I don't actually mind that size against someone who may be a little bit inclined just to think I'm trying to bluff them. You're going to find that for the most part, players think that other people play kind of like they play. I'm not going to say they think they play exactly like they play, because if you're like a lunatic, you probably don't think everyone else is a lunatic. But you think they do have some bluffs in them, whether they do or whether they don't. If you're a really weak type player, you just probably assume no one bluffs, right? Think about it. Actually observe your own thoughts and how you perceive your opponents. And you're going to find that it's probably skewed a little bit, one way or the other, based on however you play. So definitely keep that in mind. Anyway, in this scenario, I definitely think betting is fine. But in this exact spot, I thought the opponent was primed to make a big mistake if I checked. So I decided to check because I thought the opponent may run a big bluff. But also because if I check, and my opponent makes any regular bet on the river, like 50K, 100K, I can just easily call, right? As you get deeper and deeper in tournaments, you really want to minimize the chance that you go broke in spots where you could just be set up against pocket tens or a set or a straight or two pair or whatever. And the way you do that is by checking one street. Because usually what's going to happen is it's going to go check on the turn, and either my opponent's going to check the river, then I get to value bet the safe cards, or my opponent's going to bet the river and I just get to call on basically all the cards. So that's the plan. We're going to call most bets. River's a 3. Now the opponent jams all in. 1.7 times the size of the pot. It's not really what I expected, but it's what we have. So, knowing the opponent, knowing that I said they're a little bit loose aggressive, maybe even a little bit tilty, I think this is a very, very easy call. And I actually called in about half a second. My opponent said, "How could you call with pocket jack so quick?" I beat almost everything. Think about all the busted draws the opponent could have. First off, they could be value betting a 10. Not that I think that's good, but the opponent could be doing that. Opponent could easily have 5s or 4s. Opponent could easily have 9s or 8s, who decides to turn it into a bluff. Opponent could just have a hand like Ace-8, Ace-9, right? That makes a whole lot of sense. Opponent could have maybe even King-8, King-9 suited. That all makes sense. And perhaps just more importantly, I thought the opponent might be primed to make an insane bluff for no real reason. So, I made the call. Pretty happily, pretty confidently. And the opponent showed Queen 9 of hearts. He was very nice about it. He wasn't berating me. I want to make that clear. He was like, wow, how did you call that? And then he told me later, like, oh, I can't believe you called that. I mean, it's probably a pretty easy call given the way I appeared, right? I'm like, yes. It was. So this was great. This doubled me up to 1.3 million. But unfortunately, a few hands later, cutoff raised, button 3-bet. I 4-bet all in for about 50 big blinds. Guess the blinds are up a little bit since then. I 4-bet all in for about 50 big blinds. The button call with pocket jacks. I had ace-king suited, and I lost the flip to bust in 35th place for about $15,000. So, not what I wanted. I clearly always want to just win. I've had a stretch of WPTs at Borgata where I've taken something like 12th, 24th, and 35th. I think I'm going backwards, actually. I'd rather make 6th place or 8th place or whatever. But anyway, you can't be too unhappy when you consistently make deep runs. And like I said, on this day 3, I lost 4 out of 5 all-ins. And when you lose 4 out of 5 all-ins, you're just not going to win the tournament. A lot of people always ask me, how do you make deep runs? They keep taking a whole lot of 35th places. And I look at their hands. They're actually playing just fine. They just happen to lose every all-in. When you lose every all-in, you're going to lose. You need to break even or even win way more than your fair share of all-ins. And if you do that, that's how you start winning the tournaments. But there is variance in poker. Hate to break it to you. That's a new concept to you. And you're not going to win all the time. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this hand and the previous pile of hands I've made for PokerNews.com. I went through some of the major hands from WPT Borgata. And hope you enjoyed it. If you like this series, let me know. If you want me to review some other type of hands, cash games, small stakes tournaments, whatever, let me know. I'm happy to do whatever you all want. I make content for you. And if, well, you don't enjoy it, you won't watch it. And I want to make sure that you all are happy. So, thanks for being here. Good luck in your games. And I'll talk to you next time.